Hole 8, we're playing the deep position, which is 579 feet, par 4. There's 3 other locations that are all par 3, going from 480 as the longest to 305 is the shortest. The 305 is what you see in front of you. Tough driving hole, actually. Narrow, it's out of bounds on both sides. Well, relatively open, but it feels narrow when you're throwing. You're really exposed out here to the wind, and it's a little bit raised, and then it drops off. So if you throw it at all high, it just has more time in the air, which means more time for it to go sideways at the end. The key is really to keep this drive low. I'm going to try to throw something stable out to the right and out of bounds and have it fade back to the left. We do have a wind heading that direction, so I can't throw it too far right because it's going to get pushed down. It's in play. Not a great throw, but it's in play. Did not get any distance on that. Still looking about 300 out. Gonna throw the same disc. 310 out. We go. Head, crosswind. Aim right. Finish at the basket. And I threw it out of bounds long. Apparently that was a normal throw, and that went about 350. Wrong disc. Damn, that sucks. I thought that was gonna be perfect. Holy crap, I can't believe how big a distance difference those 2 shots are. I think the first one, again, since it's a little uphill, you have to throw up in order to get it up the hill. And then it just stalled out and bottomed out. It only went like 300 feet. And I thought it was because it was a headwind, because it was a head crosswind. And so I ended up throwing the same disc from 310 feet. And that was probably gonna go at least 80 feet long if it didn't hit the bushes behind it. So thinking about, are you throwing up or down, I think is something you definitely gotta consider out here. I would wish I've considered that, because I should have thrown a mid-range into the basket thinking it's a little bit more downhill, and I don't have to throw up. Super fortunate break. Hit that tree and drop dead by those bushes, and I'm inbounds by a couple feet. I'm gonna set you guys up as the catch cam. Hopefully I can make some magic happen with the circle 2 putt. Thought it was in. Just barely too far right. The name of the game out here is keep it in bounds. I think my best I've ever done here is only having 4 out of bounds in a round. So I think I need to start discing down and keeping it low and keeping it in bounds. Hole 9, par 4, 585 feet. It is out and to the left around the corner. There's OB on the left, there's OB on the right. You see the basket up on the hillside on the right. That's the par 3, that's 342 feet. We're playing the par 4 around the corner. Gonna try to throw something with a little flex to the right and finish left. The wind is heading that direction, so I gotta push it pretty good to make sure it gets past the corner. A little higher than I wanted, a little more right, but that's safe and should have a good look for bird. This is part of the reason why this course is so cool. So these par 4s would make you think. So if you ended up trying to, if you end up throwing it to the left, so this is just right around the corner, you're looking at a blind uphill shot into the green. If you finish a little bit more right up on the top of that hill, where I am, I should have a more clear look to the basket. And again, remember with this wind, anytime you're throwing uphill, I feel like the wind just affects it so much more than throwing flat or downhill. So things to consider when you're out here is, am I throwing uphill or downhill? So thinking about where you want to end discs to make for an easier next shot. So see what I mean? I'm at kind of the top of the hill, and I can see the top of the basket right between those 2 trees. And I'm about 245 out, so this is a good spot to be up and to the right versus down and to the left where it's blind. 245, OB on the right and left. I'm gonna try just to throw zone out to the right and have it finish back at the basket. Thought it was gonna come a little more left. I thought that was gonna be really good when it left my hand. I don't throw that zone too much on power shots. Maybe I gotta readjust how much it fades, because I thought that would be perfect and just didn't fade that much. Good distance, just a little right. 33.5 feet supposedly, my boy Arturo says. Not super confident in the jump putt, so I'm just gonna do a standstill. Oh, there was a swirling wind. I thought it was coming at us a little bit. I didn't want to throw it high. Another wasted opportunity with the good drive. Gotta start cashing more of these opportunities with better upshots and putts. The wildflowers are very high, almost waist high. I'm touching them right now. So make sure you keep your eye on your disc when you throw, because you might lose it in the middle of the fairway. Hole 10, we are playing the B position, which is 336 feet. You can see out there on the left, there's OB to the right of the basket, all the way up until about maybe 40 feet to the basket on this hole, and then it opens up around the basket. You also have OB right, but in this pin location, you don't have to worry about it. Other pin locations is that white pole right on the top of that hill, and there's another one back into the right. Wind is going significantly that direction. I'm gonna try to throw something stable. Try to throw it towards that white pole and have it finish to the left at the basket. That's out of bounds. Too high. Too nose up. Too short. Just bad throw. Ended up pushing short and left, so I was about 10 feet out of bounds. So to make my par, got about a 50-footer, wind heading that way. That way. Good line, just never gave it an opportunity. So as you can see today with Pinto, there's tons of wild grass and high wild grass everywhere. The course play is very different when it's not there. So if it's either mowed or even if it's more like a typical California summer where it's very dry, you're gonna have a lot more run. So just be aware of that and make sure you keep your eyes on the disc. Another thing with the high wild grass too, you can't see the OB lines very easily. So just be aware there's OB on every hole up top and most of the holes even in the woods. And yeah, throw it in the fairway. Hole 11, par 5, 1288 in this position, one of the more well-known holes at Pinto. I feel like it plays longer because the fairway always has grass. This is very high grass, so you're not getting any skip. But you combine the grass with the out of bounds and the wind you got to play for and the rolling hills, it just feels like a long way out there. My play is keep it in the fairway ideally. This kind of is like hole 8, the drive, in that it's a little bit uphill and then it drops off. So I cannot throw it at all high, because if I throw it all high, it's going to have that time to fade back to the left and it's not going to go anywhere and it could potentially go out of bounds. The wind is coming a little bit this way, it feels like right now. That could change, so I got to be aware of that. I'm going to try to throw it out slow and flat, slightly to the right, and have it finish back to the left. I tell you, well, that's exactly what I want to do. Good drive. So there is Pinto Lake. We're gonna wrap around it. It goes over here as well, and you're gonna see it on a couple holes. I was just so dumb. And this is why you need to think about the wind when you're at Pinto. I had a cross wind going left to right, and for some reason I thought, let me get a little more at distance and put it on a little bit of ante, and then you saw it just turn over and never had a chance of coming back. You always have to think about the wind at Pinto. If you don't, you're gonna get screwed. So think about the wind and adjust your throw and disc accordingly. Still a mile away. Now I'm gonna upgrade to something more stable and just try to throw it flat. Make sure I do not turn at all over. Wind is, again, going crosswind. That should be really good. Another reason not to go out of bounds on these holes, besides the stroke penalty, is that second shot. Because of where I went out of bounds, I probably only gained 170 feet of distance because it went out so early. So really make sure you do not throw it out of bounds. Basket is directly underneath that far tree. It's about 360 feet away. OB, if you go too far right, comes into play, or too far left. Try to throw something to the right, let it fade to the left, and hopefully have a look for bogey. Whoa, major wind bounce. I think because the wind bounce is a little short, but that's perfect line. About probably 30 feet though. Pretty good upshot from 350. It's a good save after that OB. I'll take a bogue all day on this hole. That hole can be brutal. For the record, my worst score on that hole is 10. So 5 over. I took 3 OBs. I went OB on one shot, and then the next shot, again, from like 3 feet inbounds, I tried to throw over OB to have it come back in play, and it never came back in play, so I had to throw with the stroke penalty from the exact same spot. That was part of the reason I ended up getting a 10. That round, though, I finished the day at, I think, 4 over. So without that hole, I'd have been under par. And I think that was my best score ever here. So With the 6 on that hole, I'm hoping to improve on my best score over here. Hole 12, 420 feet, straight down the hill into this little cove of trees. You can see Pinto Lake in the background, very cool hole. Significantly downhill, so you gotta make sure you throw it down the hill. You don't wanna go right, OB on the right and left, so you gotta keep it pretty straight. A little too high. Such a cool basket location, how it's protected by those trees. You can see the lake right in the background. You hit the gap perfectly. Hole 13, last hole out up top here out in the open. OB left and right, it's 497 feet to the deep basket, which we're going to. You have this one tree in the middle, it's grabby. You have this undulation in the elevation. Shot's gonna be a backhand out to the right, have it finish left, or a forehand. Real key is controlling the height. Don't wanna throw the backhand too high and let it finish out of bounds. I'm gonna try to throw a low mid-range, try to play for par to the right and finish in the middle of the fairway. Go, go, go.
Okay, so
Hold it, we'll see if it's in bounds. So much for playing it safe with the mid-range. Not only did I go OB, but I went out of bounds early, so I'm still over 400 feet to the basket. I'm screwed. Just gonna try to throw something out to the fairway, get up and down from there. Wind pushed out a lot left. I think it should be in bounds, but we'll see. Oh my word, I'm not sure how you can hear me because the wind is definitely picked up here up top. My first tee shot was about 5 feet out of bounds, just caught the top of those trees and fell. If I threw a little higher, would have came back in the fairway. So if you're on the right side, and throw it either a little higher or throw something a little bit more central so you don't get caught up by those trees. My second up shot I thought was fine, but once I got up here, there's a ton of wind and I was out of bounds by 3 feet. So that's 2 out of bounds on the same hole. Looking at 150 feet, super high grass, tons of wind going this direction. I don't even know what I'm shooting right now. All I know is this is the worst I've ever done on this hole. So hopefully the camera doesn't blow over. Sorry, I was saying hopefully the camera doesn't blow over, but scratch that. This is a wide base tripod too, just to give you an idea of the wind. Yeah, I guess it's gonna be a zone up shot. Try to keep it somewhat low, but you can't keep it too low because it's gonna hit the grass. You can't keep it high because the wind's gonna push it terribly. Good line. A little short. Should have a tap in for, I don't even know, triple. And here we are back at Pinto Lake, now at ground level, after we're walking through the forest to get there. This is way higher than it normally is. It's also super murky. Normally it's not that murky, probably because the recent rains have put more sediment in there. Normally there's a lot of birds out there, but today I don't see many. Reminder for the California courses, there's so much PO. This is what it looks like right here. So see how it's kind of oily looking and it's greenish and reddish in tint. There's no thorns or prickers on it. Like this is not PO, that's PO, PO. So when you see 3 leaves and it looks oily and it's reddish green, that is stuff to stay away from. There's a lot of paths here that are tight, so make sure you're watching your legs to make sure you don't brush against anything because you will regret it. God, that last hole is so frustrating. I thought I was playing it safe with the mid-range off the tee. That was only a 8 speed. I just pulled it a little bit, actually a lot of it. And then it just barely caught the tree and stayed out of bounds. And then my second shot from down the gully, I thought was pretty good, but I didn't consider the wind, which is, again, you always have to consider the wind here. I was throwing uphill and the wind was kind of coming at us. And so once it got towards the tail end of its flight, it was going uphill, tail end of the flight, just dove so super hard to the left and it ended up going out of bounds by 3 feet. It's just a reminder to, you have to think about every shot. Are you going uphill, are you going downhill? What's the wind? How much wind? Which direction is it going? Where's the safe area? Where's the more dangerous area? You have to think about those things, otherwise you're gonna get a lot of OBs. Back in the trees, hole 14, 555 foot par 4. Tunnel shot, gonna try to hyzer flip up the middle.
I'll say that's a lot of wind.
Yeah, I try to put it on more hyzer because there's a ton of wind, but it's just overturned still. Tee shot flipped over into the wind. There's normally never any wind down here. because you see how protected it is by the trees. But there was a steady headwind and we were getting asked to play through, so I rushed a shot. Tried to throw a hyzer flip when I shouldn't have. Turned over, was blocked out in jail, threw it up on the road in a bad spot because I'm rushing to try to pass this group, and then tried to hyzer flip an impossible shot down the fairway, which I missed. And now I'm looking at probably 200 feet for an upshot to get up and down for bogey. Might as well keep the idiot train going and try something stupid. Flex Annie zone around this tree. Shouldn't have thrown that. That was not stable enough. I should have done like the Justice or Pyro. I'm sorry, I'm playing so terrible. And I feel like I'm being rushed to try to go through somebody. That's just bad combination. I swear I'm not normally this bad. But yeah, normally these holes, once you get down here, are actually a lot easier than the ones up top. Typically I'm under par on these ones down here. But it looks like I'm gonna start with a double bogey. So let's see how it goes. Oh, was trying to make it. Being a little too aggressive. I don't really care at this point.